going to attempt again to go live in two different locations. It's my favorite thing. So, going live on Instagram and on YouTube all at the same time. And I really want to get right into this topic. I've been thinking about it for about a week. The article came out on the 14th, so it's been about a week since the article came out. The article that I'm talking about today is the Wall Street Journal article. It says Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls, company documents show. And one thing I really, really hate is fear mongering. It is one thing that really makes me upset, and I hate people who perpetuate fear mongering, especially when it has to do with technology, because I'm a huge fan of technology, and people are already scared of what technology can do, and I feel like a lot of news articles and things like that just continue to perpetuate that fear and not highlight the good that these platforms and this technology does. So I wanted to dive right into the whole article. And so I'm going to be reading parts of it. It is behind a paywall. So if you're not subscribed to the Wall Street Journal, you can't read the full article, which is another detriment to this whole topic of conversation, because not everybody can go in and actually read all of the information that they have laid out in this article because it is behind this paywall. So, you get the headline that Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls, and it's a very sensationalized headline, and then people can't actually read the content. And so, they've got this clickbait headline, and then they have this whole, article that people, regular everyday people, cannot read. So I'm going to read through some of it, again, because most people are not able to read it. So it starts out, it says, about a year ago, teenager Anastasia Vlasova started seeing a therapist. She had developed an eating disorder and had a clear idea of what led to it, her time on Instagram. She joined the platform at 13 and eventually was spending 3 hours a day entranced by the seemingly perfect lives and bodies of the fitness influencers who posted on the app. She said, when I went on Instagram, all I saw were images of chiseled bodies, perfect abs, and women doing 100 burpees in 10 minutes. Now 18, says Miss Vlasova, now 18, who lives in Virginia. So around this time, researchers inside Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, were studying this kind of experience and asking whether it was part of a broader phenomenon. Their findings confirmed some serious problems. So it gets right into some of the findings. It says 32% of teen girls said that when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. So what I take away from this is they're already feeling bad or feeling a way about themselves. And yes, going to a platform like Instagram is going to make you feel worse if you are already inclined to feeling that way about your body. It's the same. It's what I talk about when, you're a teenager, you have a breakup, and all the songs on the radio are about love and breaking up, and it makes you feel worse for sure. Or, when my dog passed away, watching Marley and Me is a very triggering movie. I can't watch Marley and Me because it's too upsetting for me because of my dog passing away. It'll probably be at least about a year. See, I'm going to get upset again. Before I can watch a movie like that, because it's already so close. So something that is already on the surface, I can search out things that will help me feel better about myself or help me feel worse about myself. It's also the same thing, if I am researching a specific topic and I have an angle that I'm going for, which this article is going for the angle that Instagram is bad and it's making teens feel bad about themselves, they're going to find data to support that. I remember a statistics class when I was in high school, and she put up a statistic that 100% of the people who ate carrots in 1870 have died. Well, yeah, because if they ate carrots in 1870, they're too old to be alive right now, and so of course they are dead. So you can find statistics, you can find anything to back up your position, no matter what. You just need to look for it. So, so the article goes on to say, for the past 3 years, Facebook has been conducting studies into how its photo sharing app affects its millions of young users. Repeatedly, the company's researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of them, most notably teenage girls. And I'm going to say a sizable percentage makes it sound like it's over 50%, where it's 30%, which isn't, I mean, sure, that's still large, but when it says sizable percentage, that usually means to me that it's going to be a larger percentage, you know, larger than half, for sure. But it is not. It is smaller than half. And it's the slide that they are saying from Facebook from 2019 says, "We make body images worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." Again, this is teens blame Instagram for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression, said another slide. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups. Um, Again, we'll get into more of what I think about that. So, then it goes into talking about kind of the demographics of Instagram. It's positioned well to win with young people. We know that, Instagram is where kids are going, Snapchat is where kids are going, TikTok is where kids are going. They are not spending any time on Facebook at all. So it kind of just goes into that, how Facebook numbers are declining. Instagram still has a really good hold on this younger demographic. So, then it quotes Mark Zuckerberg. The research that we've seen is that using social apps to connect with other people can have positive mental health benefits. And in May, Instagram head told reporters that research he had seen suggests the app's effect on teen well-being is likely quite small. But what he's saying is, he goes, I don't mean to diminish these issues. Some of the issues mentioned in the story aren't necessarily widespread, but impact on individual people may be huge, which I totally understand that, for the percentage of people that it does affect, yes, it is a big problem. So they're talking about responsibility. So what kind of responsibility does Instagram have to its young demographic? And what it really seems like, at least from the title of the article, is that Instagram knows this is a problem and they're not doing anything about it. And if you read the article, it's aware of the problem, whether or not it's to be determined, but it is shown that it's trying to do things to combat those things. So we'll get into that as well. So some features of so this is still talking with Adam Mosseri, who is the head of Instagram. Says the research into the mental health effects on teens was valuable, and that Facebook employees asked tough questions about the platform. For me, this isn't dirty laundry. I'm actually very proud of this research. Some features of Instagram could be harmful to some young users, and they aren't easily addressed. There's a lot of good also that comes with what we do. So we will go. It starts talking about kind of some of the internal research that Facebook has done into Instagram and these effects. Again, these it shows. So the company's research on Instagram that knows about its impact on teens and their mental well-being, and represents gaps revealed in the documents between Facebook's understanding of itself and its public position. So what they're saying is that the publicly Facebook is like, oh, it's totally fine. Instagram is good, etc., etc., but in their internal documents saying, oh, this is a problem and we need to do some things to resolve this. And I kind of disagree with that. It seems like they are showing that they do know this is a problem, and they're doing things to kind of combat that. So I'll read a couple more paragraphs from here. It says, social comparison is worse on Instagram, states Facebook deep dive into teen girl body image issues in 2020. Noting that TikTok, a short video app, is grounded in performance, while users on Snapchat, a rival photo and video sharing app, are sheltered by jokey filters that keep focus on the face. In contrast, Instagram focuses heavily on body and lifestyle. The features that Instagram identifies as most harmful to teens appear to be at the platform's core. The tendency to share only the best moments, a pressure to look perfect, and an addictive product can send teens spiraling toward eating disorders and an unhealthy sense of their own bodies and depression. March 2020 internal research states, it warns that the Explore page, which serves users photos and videos curated by an algorithm, can send users deep into content that can be harmful. So it's clear from here, they're saying, okay, so TikTok doesn't have this problem because people are doing performances. Snapchat doesn't have this problem because it has filters and everything like that. So Instagram does have this problem because of the feed, the post feed. But what I'm going to say is that it seems like Instagram is doing a lot to combat that feed because they've added videos just like TikTok. Reels is TikTok. Snapchat stories is Instagram stories. And that is actually where a lot of the teens are spending their time in Instagram, is on Reels, on stories. They're not checking out the post feed, the photo feed, as often, or even posting on the post feed as often as they are using these other features of Instagram. So, so what it would seem to me is Instagram is adding these features to make a less of an effort to have teens on the photo feed where they're having, these issues of seeing these curated pictures of other people. So it gets into the congressional hearing that Mark Zuckerberg attended in March, and it says, Facebook also told the senators that its internal research is proprietary and kept confidential to promote frank and open dialogue and brainstorming internally. A Facebook spokeswoman said the company welcomed productive collaboration with Congress and would look for opportunities to work with external researchers on credible studies. And I totally agree with this. If they are doing research internally, what this article is kind of blasting them for is having this research and not sharing it. And as a private company, I could see how this research could be just internal documents only, because it is research into how their users are using the platform. This could be used by competitors to develop similar products, and it would be proprietary information. So you don't want to share that as a public or as a company, because that is private information. And their own internal research would also be biased and skewed because it is their internal research. And what they're saying is, hey, we welcome other people to join in this research. If you guys want to do some research, we will open up some data for you, and you can have these external, credible studies. Like, a study coming from Facebook about Facebook, or coming from Facebook about Instagram, which was owned by Facebook, is going to be skewed and biased towards Instagram and Facebook. So, you can't trust a study from an internal company because it's going to be based on their information. So, yeah, I totally agree with Facebook on this one. Said, we welcome collaboration with Congress and look for opportunities to work with external researchers on credible studies. But our own research is our own, and it should be kept internally. And I totally agree with that. Excuse me. Um, Facebook's answers, so then the article goes on, Facebook's answers were so evasive, failing to even respond to all of our questions that really raise questions about what Facebook might be hiding. Facebook seems to be taking a page from the textbook of big tobacco, targeting teens with potentially dangerous product while masking the science in public. So I kind of made a little note to myself. I'm like, okay, are we going to put warning labels on Instagram now too? Hey, watching Instagram might be harmful to your health, which kind of gets into ridiculous territory, I feel like. Especially to liken it to something like tobacco, where it is absolutely harmful to your body, where Instagram, if you are doing specific things, if you are trying to perpetuate what is making you sad about yourself, yes, it can be harmful, but it can also be good. There's nothing good about tobacco. So, yeah, yeah. So to compare it to big tobacco, I think is very false and very misleading. So where I'm going to get into with this, like if we're going to be putting warning labels on stuff, I remember this exact same conversation when I was a kid talking about fashion magazines. And I'm going to give credit to Mom 101, who wrote a great article on coolmomtech.com. Definitely, I'll link it below in the YouTube channel. So you link it below. It's a great article about exactly, commenting on this article. And it says that, it's comparing it to when we were kids to fashion magazines. I remember all of the, stuff going around saying, oh, Vogue and teen, like, and all those magazines are perpetuating a unrealistic body image for teens, and it's damaging. Okay, yeah. So that's, yes. Let's fix that. Let's have different models, and I think they've improved that a bit. Fashion magazines still have crazy crazy body types. And they do still, Photoshop images in fashion magazines as well. So nothing's really changed with the fashion industry. And I think this is going into that type of issue as well. Like, it's not a new problem. You know, Back in the day, they were saying that music, the Kiss, the band Kiss, is satanic, and your kids are going to go off the deep end if they listen to Kiss. There's all sorts of things out there that can be harmful to the right person, and are we going to eliminate everything that can be harmful? So, got a comment here. It is upset a parent to monitor. I think you mean up to a parent to monitor what their children watch and read. Yes, that totally makes sense. We need to make sure we're on top of what they're looking at and what they're consuming. Yeah, exactly. It's a parent's job to monitor children's activity, and I 100% agree with that. I'm actually I have a real plan for this week about signs that your kids need to be done with technology for the day. Um, and it's the same kind of thing. You need to watch for what they're doing. You need to monitor, and you need to limit their access. This article starts out saying that she was spending 3 hours a day on Instagram and making herself feel bad about herself for 3 hours a day. Yes, that can be damaging. You need to make sure that you have time limits set on different applications, so they're not spending all this time going down the rabbit hole. Yeah, totally agree. So it goes on to say, before long, Instagram became the online equivalent. I cannot speak today. Online equivalent of the high school cafeteria, a place for teens to post their best photos, find friends, size each other up, brag, and bully. Facebook's research indicates Instagram's effects aren't harmful for all users. So, like, they can lead with that because they have the sensationalized title. You can't lead with it's actually not really that harmful to all users. Um, for most teenagers, the effects of negative social comparison are manageable and can be outweighed by the app's utility as a fun way for users to and connect with friends, the research says. So, yes, I totally agree. Um, we'll keep going on. In one study of teens in the US and UK, Facebook found that more than 40% of Instagram users who reported feeling unattractive said the feeling began on the app. About a quarter of the teens who reported feeling not good enough said the feeling started on Instagram. Many also said the app undermined their confidence in the strength of their friendships. Um, and I can see that. FOMO is a real thing. So, FOMO is fear of missing out. So, your friends all post that they're together and, going out to lunch, and you're like, oh, why wasn't I invited to lunch? And it makes you feel sad. And I totally get that. But is it really any different from when I was a kid and everybody's talking on Monday about this party that everybody was at on Friday night or Saturday night, and you're like, oh, I wasn't invited to that. Yeah, it's a little more in your face now with Instagram because maybe you didn't hear the talk about the party or whatever, but chances are you heard about the party. It happened for sure, and you weren't there. And so you still have that fear of missing out. So I don't think Instagram in and of itself is really perpetuating that problem. Like I said, it is more in your face, but it teens reporting not feeling good started on Instagram. So what Liz Gumbier, which like I said, Cool Mom Tech, great article. I'm gonna link it below on the YouTube. Like I said, I'm live here on Instagram and on YouTube at the same time. So wherever you're at. But if you want to head over to the YouTube channel, I will have the link to the Cool Mom Tech article that is great. She talked to her daughter about it. She's like, hey, what do you think about this article? And the daughter was saying, if there is somebody on Instagram that I'm following that is constantly making me feel bad about myself, and it's not necessarily something that they're doing on purpose. They just want to show how they're living their best life. So they're showing their, curated life, and it's making somebody else feel bad about themselves. It's not their fault. It's not what they have intended to do to make you feel bad about yourself. If I come across somebody on Instagram that I'm following that consistently makes me feel bad about myself, it's time to unfollow that account. And so where's the personal responsibility here of unfollowing the people that are making you feel bad about yourself? It's, same thing when I'm sad and I want to watch a sad movie and I want to watch a sad, and I want to listen to sad music. I'm going to perpetuate that sadness. I'm going to keep being sad because I'm just feeding, the whole wolf thing. Inside of you is two wolves. Which one wins? And it's the one that you feed, right? And so it's the same thing. You're feeding the wrong wolf in this situation. So, continuing on, Instagram's researchers note that those struggling with the platform's psychological effects weren't necessarily logging off. Teens reported wanting to spend less time on Instagram, the presentation notes, but lacked the self-control to do so. And this is a teenage problem. Teenagers lack a lot of the self-control that adults have. And this is one huge reason why I am such a proponent of parental controls and monitoring. So monitoring and management. I talk about parental controls all the time. I get some feedback that, I am a helicopter parent or I'm, ruining my children's lives and things like that. But they lack the self-control to manage themselves. So it is up to you as the parent. It is up to the adult to make sure they're making good decisions. So if they don't have the self control to log themselves out, to hit that unfollow, you need to be involved and help them do that. Help them log out, help them have that self control to step away when they're feeling bad. Um, Teens told us they don't like the amount of time they spend on the app, but feel like they have to be present. An Instagram research manager explained to colleagues, according to the documents, they often feel addicted and know that what they're seeing is bad for their mental health, but feel unable to stop themselves. And again, this is going back to that, is this really Instagram's problem to deal with? No, I think this is a parenting problem to deal with. You need to make sure that if Instagram is making your child feel bad about themselves, you need to help them log out of Instagram, or set time limits. Okay, you can be on Instagram for 30 minutes a day, and make sure what they're doing, what they're following, is only going to be helpful for their mental health. So um, you know this is just a huge call for a need for parental oversight, parental management, parental control, and all of that. So um, so then it goes into this other study. It's talking about this during the isolation of the pandemic. If you wanted to show your friends what you were doing, you had to go on Instagram, says Destiny Ramos 17. We're leaning towards calling it an obsession. Miss Ramos and her friend believed this posed a potential health problem to their community, so they decided to survey their peers as a part of a national science competition. So they surveyed just their friends, and 98 students at her school responded. Nearly 90% of them said that social media negatively affected their mental health. I'm just going to say, this is a terrible study to include in this. It's a sample of 100 people of this person's friends. Yes, we surround ourselves with people who feel the same way about things. Sometimes, we have friends that have different thoughts and beliefs and things like that. But for the most part, our friends are going to have similar studies, similar outlooks on life. So this is a really flawed research, I believe. Not very scientific, and it's, kind of ridiculous to include it in a Wall Street Journal article, is my thoughts on that. So we'll go back. After looking through photos on Instagram, I feel like I am too big, not pretty enough, another teen told Facebook researchers. It makes me feel insecure about my body, even though I know I am skinny. And yes, I completely get this. Definitely a problem. But where is this Instagram's responsibility to fix? Vogue, magazines, advertisements, movies, all of these perpetuate this same body type, same body image, and just to narrow it down, the saying Instagram is responsible for me feeling like I'm too big and pretty is, that's a lot of responsibility on a social media platform that can be blocked. There's so many other things out there in the world that you can't shield your kids from, that are going to have this same effect. If you, like I said, if your child is looking for it, they're going to find it. We'll go down a little bit further. Another story. When her classmate arrived at high school, she found her peers using Instagram as a tool to measure their relative popularity. Students referred to the number of followers their peers had as if the number was stamped on their foreheads, she said. Now, she said, when she looked at her number of followers on Instagram, it is most often a kick in the gut. This one I get, yes. Back in my day, we knew who the popular kids were, but now they have quantifiable data telling them who is more popular. And this is, follower count. What kids need to understand is followers can be purchased. It's not a good indication of what is actually happening or popular. But again, I'm going to say Instagram is aware of this and has started to make efforts to change this. So they're hiding like count on different photos. This is like, how many, it used to say like, 5 people liked this photo, but now it says like people, or others liked this photo. So they're doing things to make that number more irrelevant. And, I applaud them for that because, again, back in my day, we did not have quantifiable data telling us who was popular and who was not. But now they do. So for years, there has been little debate among medical doctors that for some patients, Instagram and other social media exacerbate their conditions. Angela Garda, director for the Eating Disorders Program at Johns Hopkins Hospital, an associate professor of psychiatry in the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, said it is common for patients to say they learned from social media tips for how to restrict food intake or purge. She estimates that Instagram and other social media apps play a role in the disorders of about half of her patients. It is the ones, and this was, I underlined this part, it is the ones who are most vulnerable or already developing a problem. The use of Instagram and other social media can escalate it. And again, this goes back to, if I am sad, I am going to find things that make me sad. If I am starting to develop an eating disorder, I will find ways to perpetuate that eating disorder, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's a Google search, whether it's anything else. I will find what I'm looking for. And so again, to just blame it completely on Instagram, which is kind of what the title of this article was going for, is very misleading. So goes on to say, yeah, so they're talking to this person, is like, Mr. Zuckerberg indicated that on issues of political polarization and teen mental health, he believed the research literature was contradictory and didn't point clearly to any harmful causal effects. He said he felt Mr. Zuckerberg at the time was a partisan but curious. I asked Mark to help us out as parents. He said Mark said he was working on it. And again, like I said, there are things Instagram is doing to combat this. And I'm not saying Instagram is totally innocent in all of this. Getting a little warm in here. I'm not saying Instagram is totally innocent in all of this. There are definitely things that I would love to see Instagram do to help parents, namely internal parental controls. I would love to see Instagram create some internal parental controls. Like TikTok. TikTok has some really great internal parental controls. There's a new Wall Street article about TikTok that is also very sensationalized. They leave out some really key data. I may have to do a live next week about that article because, again, it made me upset the way that they presented this data that they found about TikTok. So probably get into that next week. But on this one, yeah, Instagram is not completely innocent in all of this. Like I said, if Instagram could enable some better internal parental controls, I think it would be really, really helpful for parents to be able to keep tabs on exactly what's going on here and help kids overcome, the limitations. It just needs some internal parental controls. So, like, I want to be able to manage my child's account. I want to be able to approve who they are able to follow and things like that. There's a lot that you can do as a parent if the platform would let you. So, I'm not saying Instagram is totally innocent because there's definitely room for improvement. But I'm going to say, this article is very misleading and very false. But we'll continue. In January 2020, Facebook invited Mr. Haight to its Menlo Park, California headquarters, where Mr. Mosseri, who was the head of Instagram, and Instagram staff briefed him on platform's efforts to combat bullying and reduce social pressure on the platform. Mr. Haight said he found those efforts sincere and laudable, but warned that they likely weren't enough to battle what he believes is a mounting public health epidemic. It was not suggested to me that they had internal research showing a problem. And so it kind of goes into some of that, and it says, for years, Facebook experimented with hiding the tallies of likes that users see on their photos. Teens told Facebook in a focus group that like counts caused them anxiety and contributed to their negative feelings. So that's what we were just talking about, is how they have quantifiable data on who's popular and who's not now. However, when Facebook tested a tweak to hide the likes in a pilot program they called Project Daisy, it found it did not improve life for teens. We didn't observe movements in overall well-being measures, Facebook employees wrote in a slide they presented to Mark Zuckerberg about the experiment. So the teens are saying, hey, these like counts are making me feel bad about myself. Instagram hides the like counts, and then yeah, I still feel bad about myself. So, I don't even know what to say about that. But, relying on a teen saying, this is what is the problem is, and this is what the problem is, and then resolving that problem doesn't necessarily fix the problem. And it's just like when your toddler says they want a peanut butter sandwich with the crust cut off, and then you give them the peanut butter sandwich with the crust cut off. They're like, no, I want a peanut butter sandwich with the crust on, and I won't eat this. That's exactly what's happening there. So it's a question of, how much are they trying to cater to a problem that doesn't even really cause. So, we're going to talk about personality at the end of all of this, I think. Anyway, nonetheless, Facebook change as an option for Facebook and Instagram users in May 2021 after senior executives argued to Mark Zuckerberg that it could make them look good by appearing to address the issue, according to documents. So they did the research. They found hiding like counts didn't actually even help with mental health. And they still rolled it out because, it might look good for us. Sure. Sounds good. This is a quote, a Daisy launch would be received by press and parents as a strong positive indication that Instagram cares about its users, especially when taken alongside other press positive launches. Facebook executive wrote in a discussion about how to present their findings to Mr. Zuckerberg. Sorry. So when Facebook rolled out Project Daisy, Mr. Mosseri acknowledged publicly that the feature didn't actually change much about how users felt. So, again, I want a peanut butter sandwich. Well, here's a peanut butter sandwich. That's not what I wanted. And so relying on teens who were, people who were blaming all of these other things, this is what's wrong with me, and this is what's wrong with me, and this is what's wrong with me, instead of trying to have some personal responsibility for what you do and for what you feel. I think this is where the real problem lies. So my little note to myself was so people said it made them feel bad, but apparently it really did not make them feel bad. We'll keep going here. This is, again, I would love to have seen this a little bit more prominent in the headline. Miss Colt Lesio uses a wheelchair. And in the past, Instagram made her feel like she didn't look the way she was supposed to or do the things that other teen girls on the app were doing. She said she began following people who use wheelchairs or who are chronically ill or refer to other disabilities, and the platform became a place she could see images of other disabled people just being happy. And I love that, instead she turned it around. Okay, instead of following these people who are making me feel bad about myself, I'm going to follow people who are like me, and I'm going to feel better about myself because they're living their life and they're having fun and they are doing the things that they want to do, and I can feel good because I can do that too. So instead of following an ideal that is unattainable, follow somebody who is like you and who has the same interests, has the same abilities that you do, and you'll be able to, feel better about yourself. And then, of course, follow family tech so that you can understand and manage all the technology in your home. But I digress. In March, the researchers said Instagram should reduce exposure to celebrity. Oh, I loved this. This one where I'm wanting to shoot this employee. In March, the researcher said Instagram should reduce exposure to celebrity content about fashion, beauty, and relationships while increasing exposure to content from close friends, according to a slide deck they uploaded to Facebook's internal message board. Yes, 100%. I would love to see that. I don't want to see celebrities. I don't care. I want to see my friends. I want to see what they're up to and everything like that. Then a current employee in comments on the message board questioned that idea, saying celebrities with perfect lives were key to the app. Isn't that what Instagram is about mostly? He wrote, getting a peek at the very photogenic life of the top 0.1%. Isn't that the reason